What's going on, guys? It's Smudgy here, and today we're going to talk about the weapons you want to be leveling up as soon as you can in the beta, because of course the beta is arriving to all platforms as well as open beta this weekend, and you don't want to spend your time, trying to figure out what you should be using, what are the best guns, especially when PlayStation players have had that chance to kind of feel out the game, figure it out, know the maps. You want to be jumping in as soon as you can. So I've put together just 4 guns that you want to be focusing on if you do want to, spend less time getting stomped into the ground while you're trying to figure out the game, to level up, to focus on, and to using their default classes as well. Not all of them, but at least 3 of them. I don't think the last one has a default class, I could be wrong. And then you should be good to go, because whilst you're using those default class guns, you can also level them up to unlock the attachments later on when it comes to making your own classes. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So first up is of course the MP40. It's kind of been the beta's baby, a lot of people hyping it up. There are 10 attachment slots within Vanguard this year, so it can be quite tricky to know what to put on. My initial advice is to use the default class until you've got it leveled up to like between level 5 and 10, just to get yourself some decent attachments. And then you're really going to want to prioritize primarily movement speed without sacrificing too much recoil, because whilst this gun slaps at close range like it's supposed to, mid-range it's a beast as well. It really is the gun of the game at the moment, and you don't want to sacrifice too much of that distance and that recoil control, because it can really get you out some sticky spots. It can beat a lot of the ARs, probably all of the ARs at their mid-range. Maybe not the STG, but we'll get to that later. You're going to want to run anything that increases that movement speed, that ADS speed, and puts enough bullets in your team and your enemy to get them killed. But of course, it has a default class. It is the standout SMG of the game. Run that for as long as you feel like you need to. It's a perfectly decent class. There's nothing wrong with it. Just so until you get leveled up enough, you can start to kind of tweak it how you want. It's the easiest way to do it. It stops you having to go through the slog of using a default MP40. I think it's worth it personally. But speaking of that assault rifle that could potentially rival the MP40, the STG44, it's a good gun. It's my favourite gun in the game. Whilst the MP40 is exceptional, I really do like the STG44. Suits my playstyle a little bit. It's aggressive enough that I can get up close and personal, and without feeling like I'm sacrificing too much for those longer kind of lines of sight. But this one also has a default class. It's pretty much the first one you'll land on when you load into the beta. Use that again, get it unlocked, get your weapon leveling up. The great thing about this is that early on you can switch to your create class, custom class, with your own perks, your own secondary, and level it up that way. It's really not painful at all, and the initial attachments you unlock will do the job pretty much. Definitely recommend putting a sight on it. I think I use the slate reflector. It's just easier. I hate the iron sights on it. But other than that, anything that increases the recoil, or rather decreases the recoil, increases recoil control, is what you're going to be looking for. It can be a bit bouncy, but once you get the right attachments on it, and get the Carver foregrip on it, the leather grip, the Constance tactical, a few other things that didn't really do much in terms of recoil, and then the 760mm barrel, and that thing slaps. It was, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I used it for the majority of the beta last weekend, so make sure to check that out. And then if you do like to snipe, I'm personally not a massive sniper, but I did spend a fair few hours with the 3-line rifle, again in the default classes. So if you don't want to try it out and level it up without having to use like a completely default sniper rifle, you can. For this one, I essentially used anything that increased ADS speed, because it felt very slow at times, and the kind of damage behind it wasn't an issue. It killed people at most ranges in one shot, no matter where I was hitting them. Whether that was a bug or it's supposed to be like that remains to see, but there were very few issues with it in terms of damage, so I kind of prioritize ADS speed. I think I put FMJ rounds on it just for a bit of extra bullet penetration. Anything that kind of improves your accuracy was what I really went down the road with here. It's a decent little sniper rifle. I'm not the biggest sniper, but it was fun to use, and I wanted to include it because I know a lot of people do like sniping. And then finally, a bit of a rogue choice, but I had a ton of fun with the DP27 LMG. I always like to try out the LMGs in betas. They always have something surprising there. And the DP is a super fun gun. It's incredibly bouncy. The recoil is not the easiest at times. It feels like it's not really hissing as hard as it should, but it's a fun gun to use. It's useful in certain situations, and I was outgunning STGs at like mid-range quite often, so it's definitely viable. For the most part, I kind of ran the same 6 attachments. There was like a monitor brake, the 2.5 sight, the Zax S3 tack stock, I think, the 47 round mag, FMJ rounds, and a granular grip. There were other attachments, you got the perks and stuff, and a foregrip that kind of helped with recoil later on, but all that was unlocked in kind of like the first 10-15 levels. Makes it a really nice gun to get used to. It's pretty easy to level up. It doesn't feel like as much of a slog as it did with the other default guns. And that is the top 4 guns I personally would recommend leveling up as soon as you get hold of the beta, especially if it's your first time. But do let me know if you have any other recommendations for others in the comments down below. As always, if you did enjoy the video, give it a like, subscribe if you want to find your way back. Hope you'll have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.